Hey, Alex Sanfilippo here. I want to go through this monthly report that we do with PodMatch. It's a podcast report specifically for independent podcasters. The definition can be found at the top of the report and by doing your mouse over certain parts. And at the very bottom, all the fine print. So the FAQ section, like how we pull the report, where we pull it from, all those things are going to be listed down there at the bottom. I'm not going to get into that today because it's super boring. But if you are interested in seeing it, we're very big on transparency, so you can see that there. This is a report from PodMatch. We also work with OP3, Buzzsprout, and Rephonic to be able to pull this information. You will see their logos and stuff throughout this. So I'm going to go through a few key points this month of things that really stood out. First off, overall industry buzz is what I'd consider high. And we've seen a big jump from it being not so high. So it jumped by 11% in the last month, podcasting trending a little bit more. I do see it trending even more than that within podcasting. I think that's meta, right? Like podcasters that are wondering about podcasting, wanting to learn more about podcasting, want to step into that lane a little bit more. We're seeing more and more people do that. But as far as the entire world is concerned, this is what Google says it's trending at. And you can just go to google.com/trends and look at that yourself. And I find that to be a very interesting metric. I do expect after summer, Olympics, the political season that many of us are in, I expect to see this to jump even more, and podcasting hopefully reach an all-time high, and listenership health will also continue to improve, which it is doing really well. So that's a really cool thing to see. Okay, I got three main points that I'm going to pull, and of course, go through the entire report yourself. The first one is podcasting industry totals. Right now, and this happens every summer, but right now we're seeing a bit of a dip in the active podcast. So this number has dropped by about 5% over the last 3 months. In the last month alone, it's dropped by 3%, but 5 total over the last 3 months, which is very typical for what we see in summer. So there's under 400,000 total active podcasts right now, and still just over 3 million podcasts in total, which has been a bit of a small increase, especially over the summer months. Again, that's something we're very used to seeing, and that data is thanks to Rephonic. The next thing I'm going to do, and again, go through all this data yourself, take a look at it. But the next thing I wanted to show is the chances of success or failure as a podcaster. These numbers have stayed fairly consistent. 100 episodes being like kind of the sweet spot of where you really can take off as a podcaster. And I'll explain that a little bit more in a moment here. But we added this data point, which is very interesting. Approximately 593 podcasters quit every single day. 593 podcasters call it quits every single day. That's kind of wild to think about, right? That's just people who've decided I'm no longer going to be doing this. And there's a little bit of a Longtail Effect. We might see that number climb even more, even just a month after summer, because that lags by a little bit, because we don't know if someone's quit until they've been gone for a little bit, right? If they just posted their last episode today, we don't know that they've called it quit yet. We have to wait a little bit. So that's really interesting. This next thing here is the actively established podcast. And this is my last point here that I wanted to cover, but I think this is a very interesting one. In this category, there are 41,000 and change podcasts, which has increased a little bit, but it's only 1.3% of all podcasts and a small percentage of all active podcasts as well, right? It's just not a very big number. So it's 8% of an independent podcast are in this actively established category, which means they've reached that 100 episode mark, which for whatever reason seems to be when meaningful traction really takes place. And obviously there's ways to accelerate that, but there's also no guarantee. You could have 500 episodes and still not be really in this category, like really honing on all levels. Here's the really interesting thing we started tracking. This is from OP3 data. 95% of podcast listenership is in this 8%. Now, we did pull out the big network shows and their listenership. So like the top 100 shows in the world run by celebrities, run by big networks, like they're not included in this. So this is independent podcast listeners as well, right? Are in this group of listenership, and 95% are among the 8%, which is 41,000 podcasts that have reached this 100 episode mark, meaning anybody who has less than that is splitting 5% of the total listenership, while the rest of us, this smaller category, is really focused or earning 95% of listenership, which I think is a huge data point and really should help people understand that, hey, you've got to be in this thing for the long run if you want to be able to make it. And past that, I've got some other things on this industry report, some other new features and stuff like that. I always love comparing to industry averages, kind of seeing where you're at. Thanks to Buzzsprout for that, along with some other things in here as well. And again, the bottom has all the FAQs, all the information about it. And that is the podcast for Independent Podcaster Report, August 2024. Thanks so much for checking this out. Appreciate it.